J Squad.
We gotta find. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find the program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. The program. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
Yo, what is going on? How y'all doing today? I should have done it. I was thinking about doing the Muta entrance since we're going to be talking a little bit about him. Though I'm disappointed. I am disappointed right now. The Muta is maybe gay. The Mutahar's gay allegations have been taken down. I don't know if they got taken down what's going on. Maybe I'll try and reach out to Harmful. Not that we've ever talked, but just to see what's going on here. Boom, boom, boom. But otherwise, we've got an interesting content today. Of course, we've got more anti-woke stuff. I've got a couple of anti-woke things, actually. Something Simon sent over to me that is like talking about the anti-woke being the new woke. Something I've been saying for a while now. They use a lot of the same tactics as the anti-woke, or as the woke do, when it comes to actually, fighting their little battles and all of that other stuff. So we've got that. We've got the Muta content. That's coming up. He responded. If you haven't been following it, I don't remember if I actually covered it on stream or not. But I've been following the Muta drama, where it's kind of come out that he is not actually an engineer. He never finished school. He actually dropped out early. He's just been saying he's an engineer. And it wouldn't be that bad, right? To me, it's not. It doesn't seem like that be a big a deal at all. But it does, like the way he uses it in some cases, like he uses it as a power of authority. So we're going to be going over that, and with the takedown of the gay video, the gay allegations, we're going to dip back into some crazy games. Some Kamoji sent me over some good ones. We're going to take a look at from a YouTuber, and then go from there. So it's going to be an interesting stream, I think. Interesting stream. So, yo, what's going on, Nazmir? What you doing up this late? Good to see you. All right. So first, because it's probably the shortest content we got, is going to be over the, of course, there's always some Alyssa Mercante stuff going on. And you know me, saw one thing on Smash changing articles, so I thought it'd be interesting seeing you go through them all. Yeah, we're going to read the article in question. So far, there's only been one. Alyssa did send me this before, but I was wanting to look into it before I just posted online. Of course, Salmon Sask threw it out there. I got it, I think, yesterday. So, but yeah, it looks like he is updating his I'm losing my mind today. He's updating his articles to sound less bad than they were. So this came out here, that one of the airbagged accounts that SmashJT and them constantly point as being airbagged himself, put out this tweet. It's been established that SmashJT is editing YouTube videos as a legal process versus Alyssa Mercante rolls on. This is true. This is also something that he has criticized her for, not necessarily on the YouTube videos, but on deleting tweets and other things like that. But he still seems to be doing the same tactics with his content that's going on. If you're unaware, his website is getting the same treatment. I have to think he cleared this with the legal counsel. After all, you are paying Mr. Coleman good money. Well, unfortunately for him, I don't know that he's going to be paying him good money anymore. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see what the fund is up to, right? I think the fund kind of shows what's going on here. What's going on? And Jesus. Boom. SmashJT fund needing 200,000. Ooh, only at 70. I swear if he hasn't broken 80. He's only at 70. It does not look like people are coming out to help him the second time around. It's almost like people are starting to lose faith in the anti-woke and the messaging that's going across. And people were all about it. At least, I could also say this, in Jeff's personal thing, like just with Jeff, I think a lot of people paid in for the same reason that I thought Jeff was in the right in the beginning, right? That he was being wrongfully accused of defamation for just his words. But when information, I think, started coming out about the case, I think that's when people were able to see the things that were being said, see the way it was being set up, and coming to realize, okay, this isn't a straightforward defamation case. It's a lot more complicated. His buddies would like to say otherwise. They would like to say Alyssa doesn't like to hear mean words, but of course that never really. It's always the same thing. They never actually address the harassment allegations. It's always just the defamation side. Goodness. So here's the original article. Alyssa Mercante, known for her unique lifestyle, which has come to light over the past month of previously being a hooker that sucked dick for money. And he links to an article. I've actually got the first article, and we can look at the second one too. This is something I can admire, and everyone should be able to find their own beauty. The problem with people like Alyssa is they don't want to hear opposing viewpoints and shut down conversations that don't agree with her perspective, creating an echo chamber of insanity. This is crazy to me because it almost sounds like an anti-woke podcast. I may show an example. I'll show an example here in a minute of them kind of doing the same thing. Theirs is different. They don't try. Well, they do try and dish shout you because they're constantly. Every time I get into play, it's always the same thing. They have the same arguments that they parrot. You're either doing it for clout. We're all laughing at you, bro, in our own little group texts. Like it matters that a couple of anti-woker guys are talking to each other and gassing each other up in their own little chat rooms. That's what you call an echo chamber. Or they'll go to your subscriber count or something like that. So that's the first one. Let's look at the change. Alyssa Mercante, known for her unique lifestyle, which has come to light over the past month of what many infer based off her own flippant tweets. Did you see what he did there? Did you see what he did there? That's not what it was before. As someone who previously being a hooker that sucks dick for money. Now, if anyone knows or anyone's read the case, Smash was the first one to say that she sucked dick for money. She did not. Does this have any merit on the defamation case? I don't know. Personally, I'm not sure. I don't know if it matters if you, from a free speech perspective. Like I said, I think when it comes to the defamation side, what's going to matter is going to be whether or not she's seen as a public figure. Because if she's not seen as a public figure, it's much, much easier for her to prove damages and everything else that's happened with this case. God damn it, Kimoji. God damn it, Kimoji. What would I do without you, Kimoji? I think one day I'm going to get it. I even looked down at it. Anyway, let's get onto this. Let me read it again. Alyssa Mercante, known for her unique lifestyle, which has come to light over the past month for what many infer based off of her own flippant tweets. Did you see what he changed there? To light over the past few months has been changed to over the past few months of what many infer based off of her own flippant tweets as someone who previously being a hooker that sucked dick for money. Then the rest is the same. Individually and quirky and all, yeah, that's all the same. So he's trying to push it for the court case that it's going to be, that, oh, well, she already said it. Well, fun fact, she wasn't the first one to say that she sucked dick for money. She has mentioned that she's a cam girl and other stuff like that. And she has mentioned sex work, but sex work is a very broad term, right? Sex work can mean a lot of things that aren't necessarily penetration sex. Like I said, my whole take on it, if y'all, whether I was muted or not, is that the defamation case is the weakest point. If she wins the defamation case, my prediction is going to be because she's considered not a public figure. That's how I see her winning it, right? I see that being as the case. So anyway, I wanted to go to this article and see what this article was. And at first I was just going to kind of use it to confirm, but this article is something else. I went viral and now the internet hates me. I don't usually read a lot of Smash's articles. It's just not my kind of work, and most of it's kind of garbage anyways. I've also seen someone throw out allegations of him copying from other news sources, but I don't know if that's the case. He may be, like lots of gaming journalisms and journalism in general they don't steal, they copy the content from a previous one. They just usually mark the person that they got it from. They'll say like in the Washington Post, this was said. Here's the first thing I'm going to say. This right here, this is not tradition. Like if you're coming from the idea of you're an anti-woke, conservative, right-leaning guy, this is not conservative. This is actually pretty progressive. Paraphrasing articles, right. This is very progressive in the fact that these like porn games. Conservatives, who are now trying to take down porn games again, I might add, have always been against this kind of content. They always fought against porn. There's generally a high amount of religion, Christianity within the conservative movement. So not that this is something they'll support, which this shirt is fake. But this is not supported. If the Democrat or if the conservatives who are trying to take down porn games now could take down Stellar Blade, they would. So, yeah, I mean, even in gaming, like, yes, there was sexy characters, but not necessarily like this, right? Like there's I mean, if you want to say like this is tradition in gaming because of one or two sexy characters in games or one or two Easter eggs where you can make the girl naked, then you can also call 177 a traditional game, right? Which Savvy would probably use that as an argument. Maybe I'll throw her 177 so she can enjoy it. Recently, I experienced a viral phenomenon firsthand, albeit with a twist that I hadn't quite anticipated. It all started with a meme I created. Dude, this guy's like sucking himself off in this article. That's what this whole article, him sucking himself off. Oh, here we go. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It all started with a meme I created featuring Alyssa Mercante and Stellar Blade. The meme humorously played on the theme of rejecting words are hard. Embrace tradition, juxtaposing current trends in gaming and media representation against more traditional aesthetics. Again, this is not traditional. Like if you were to put like a sexy fighter up in there, like someone from Mortal Kombat, from any of those others, I think that could be a good argument because, you know, the fighting games genre has always kind of fed into that, but it hasn't been a thing for like all of gaming. It's very much still even like a newer thing to go this far with it, right? We had like Leisure Shoot Larry when I was a kid, but even that didn't show much. Created the meme. Little did I know this lighthearted jab would going after your enemy with a Gooner game is a light jab. It's always downplayed with these guys, right? Like just fucking own it. I'm never gonna. I hope I never say. And if any of you see me, try to downplay something that I said, then fucking come after me for it. Like, let me know. Because okay, you're trying to stoke some kind of fire with this. Well, I heard jab would skyrocket to 50,000 views in under 10 hours, amassing over 400 shares. The wildfire spread to my... Or I guess he's trying to sound humble. The wildfire spread from my content was both exhilarating and daunting. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Alyssa Mercante, known for her unique lifestyle, we've already read that. Her perspective, creating a echo chamber of insanity. You know what? I'm going to give Alyssa Mercante this. While she does block a lot, and I think she needs to choose between one or the other, I don't think she can help herself in trying to get into the fight. It's not like she's sitting on, her side behind a block trying to talk shit. She'll at least unblock so she can talk shit, right? Hold on here. So like I give a little bit more weight to her than I do to other people that do it, right? To others that like to hide behind blocks. What's funny about it is Smash has blocked me before. I was a small shitter, and what I said was very annoying, so I understand that. It wasn't until I dropped there was something I said to him that had him unblock me. It had got their attention, apparently, which is always funny to me. I feel like I'm going to toot my own horn now. I feel like I don't earn the the placement of the annoyance because I just started doing this, right? So it's always been weird to me that someone my size could gather the attention of these larger anti-woke YouTubers. So the core message of my meme was to challenge the notion that attractiveness in video games should be downplayed or dismissed to cater to the sensitivities of certain segments of gaming's media and development. But then replies started to come in. So I made so many fucking mistakes in my life and so many regrets, so many things I wish I could take back. But no matter how low I get, at least I know I won't have wasted whatever time it took to slap this together and fucking drop a brand logo in the corner. Was there a brand logo? Did I miss that? Oh, yeah, it's his. We'll go back. Oh. So, I mean, yes, there's going to get people who disagree with you. I don't know why he's like signal boosting this kind of stuff. Who cares? This guy's a shitter. I don't know who he is. No one knows who he is, probably. It was a call to celebrate diversity in character design without succumbing, but it's not a call to celebrate diversity. Like you're literally saying this is the only thing we should do. This we should reject. That's not celebrating diversity. Domesticated to the sensitivities. The replies came in. However, the vile nature of my tweet peeled back a layer of the internet I was unprepared for. See, I don't believe this, right? A vocal group that vehemently disagreed with my viewpoint, taking the joke, it's always becomes a joke. That's another tactic, is that, I'm just joking, man. It's just a joke. I agree that sometimes it can be joking, but just, stand on your 2 feet and say it. Put all 10 toes down and just say what you want to say. Don't hide behind necessarily jokes. I tell jokes. I can get a little edgy on here. We're going to watch some interesting content tonight. The backlash was immediate and intense. Being thrust into the spotlight, especially under controversial circumstances, opened my eyes to the sheer diversity of thought and opinion that exists online. I was fascinating, yes, disheartening, but so goes the world of social media in 2024. That's kind of how always social media has. This is so gay. Eat a dick, fuckwit. This experience has been a roller coaster of emotions. On one hand, it's been invigorating to engage with the audience and have sparked a widespread conversation. Trust me, I'm having a blast interacting for the laughs. But on others, the hatred, vitriol directed towards me was unexpected. It's a stark reminder of the double-edged sword that goes viral. Yep, you're an idiot. If these are the worst, you don't look like you floss. Alyssa making some comments. Notice one thing, though, like this one says 11 minutes. This one, though, the time frame has been, I guess, whited out. Like, what's the date on these is what I would like to know. How long ago were they, or was it from the same one? Just as I was about to post this, it turns out Alyssa has unblocked me on Twitter and then is proceeding to try to make fun of me on how I look. When conversation began. So... that you never imagined unpacking. I mean, it's a self-sucking argument, right? Where like, oh, look at all the bad guys. Like it's not a conversation if you're not having the conversation in there. So anyway, this is the article that was changed, a weird one. I will note though, if you really want to know, like while he's editing articles, and I know Smash is never going to see this, but Smash, while you're editing these articles, I need you to go into the one that has Alyssa McConte's docs on it and edit that out too, right? They already have all the details of this. Like no matter what you change, Alyssa already has it taken, screenshotted and set, ready for the court case. So have fun doing that. But at least go in and delete the one that's got our docs. It's there. I called you out for it and it shut your mouth up. Go ahead and take it off. Anyways, so that's that little tidbit. Kind of short, kind of sweet. I'm surprised I got 30 minutes out of it. Let's see here. What are we going to do next? I wanted to take, like, while we're on the subject of the anti-woke, Simon sent me a video. Boop. Oh, no, let's watch the anti-woke one first. Simon sent me a video called The Anti-Woke, The New Woke. And I thought it was interesting to kind of take a look at it. I was going to watch it today anyway. SmashJT just made it topical. Also, where is it? Hold on. I got to find one other thing that I wanted to show off here. Boop, 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 boop. Where is it? To further hype the point, friend of the channel, Damage Sector, put out I like when he does these, put out a matter of fact Smash. What were we talking about in this one? Oh, it was this one. He had put stuff down. Lewis, if you had two, the world would be better. Calling Visa, discussing. So it looks like, God, what's his name? Lewis was calling on stream. I don't know that you should do that. Let me just say that because it could be seen as some form of, Lewis is probably asking real questions, so maybe it's not that way. But I could see like someone like Smash getting on there, or someone like Eric, and completely spurging out, and I think that could cause problems for their channel. Whoops. So I wouldn't do it. But then Damage Sector did this fun call out. Matter of fact, Smash, you should do a live stream with 8-Bit Eric, Grums, Hypnotic, Nobody, Mighty Keith, Wargaming Dad, McDizzle, and K-Med. Like I said, I always feel weird when I see these because like all of these dudes, what do we have? We have K-Med is 5,000, McDizzle is 3,000, Hypnotic has me blocked, I believe. Oh. What? No, I didn't want to update. Grums has me blocked too, but he's got a ton. Abic Eric, 17K. And then little old me with my little 294. But anyways, we're talking on the section of SmashJT saying that she blocked him and unblocked him and all this stuff. Well, I mean, SmashJT's #1 cocksucker has me blocked. And he cried behind a block. Oh, it did get struck down. Oh, no. Taken down. Looks like violated community guidelines. Oh, no. The video was struck down super fast, but I also successfully appealed super fast. Did he? I didn't see it. But anyway, nobody, being the brave man that he is like, that's not going to happen. So, I always, that's why I go kind of after, like, I think it's kind of gay to point out that someone blocked you or like take it as some kind of win. I try to never make it sound like a win, even though I know that's how it's going to be taken, because, and the only people I try and do it to, like if some shitter thinks I'm annoying, I'm probably not going to say anything about their block. But if it's like an anti-woker, then, excuse me, I am coughing up a storm tonight. I keep needing to get meds for it. But if it's an anti-woker and they want to go behind a ban, a block and talk shit, then yeah, I'll say something about it. So anyway, there's those. He's no fun. I know, it would be content. Like, it would be interesting to get on and actually have the debate. But I think it comes down to the fact that when you actually start pushing them on any of their arguments, they're going to collapse, because I don't think they've really sat down and thought about what they do. They just see buzzword, say buzzword, see thing that I can say buzzword. Like, I don't even know that you would call many, like Andy Pants is clearly a grifter. There's proof that he's a grifter. He used to have a woke channel that he did the exact opposite content on. So he just deleted it because this one's popular. But the other guys, I'm usually very skeptical to say they're grifters, right? Because at some point, I think they do believe in it. They're either dumb or there's just some thing they're missing in their lives for gaming. But anyway, before we get started, we've got to look at what's going on here. Boop, boop. We got to look at it. It's constantly Moot and Bailey when it comes to the debates with them. They puff their chests and misrepresenting games and do all of this crusading about woke slop. Yeah, that's kind of where it goes into. That's why I'm hoping this video will address some of that. Just because it's very, I mean, it's so, like, it's looking in a mirror. I used to remember talking with my buddies. Like, I wasn't online, but I watched a lot of the stuff around Gamergate. There were some agreements I had with it. Of course, you down cry the actual, like, harassment and stuff like that was going on. But I think some of the creators, which none of their names I can remember, were getting a bad name because of other people who were doing stuff, or there were some cases of like clear jokes that they were doing unhinged stuff that were taken out of context. So, but then when it comes to debate, they just go, guys, I just want to make games good again. Is that so bad? Yeah, I do too. That's why I want you to go away. Or at least, even if they have a different opinion, right? Because this is my problem with them, is they don't want, anyone else to have an opinion. They only think their opinion is right, but they refuse to talk to anybody about that opinion. And they'll do things to shut down other people's opinion. Like, it's clearly a copy of the woke, as we're going to see here in a minute. But first, we have to take a look at this. Oh, no, I don't want that. Game. Boom. Krax is not doing so well. Krax is upset, hurt, not happy. This might be a dead run before long, but we're gonna keep pushing through. Hope we can bring it back. We're out of food. We're out of food. We have no power. We have no wood. Everything's on fire. So we'll see if we can bring it back with Krax. If not, I do have another idea for a run. I may just need to get my my skills back up to par before I run the ship one, which is a harder run, to be fair. And I'm doing it while talking. Then they'll tie themselves up in knots trying to explain it away and just keep on topic to what they said and why it's dumb. Yeah, I've heard and seen kind of stuff like this. It kind of happened with Nobody and them in our debate. He kept trying to push over to the Alyssa stuff, even though they pretty much had admitted to me that both Atreus and Ryan were rightful bans, right? But God, I hope they don't burn down my food. So it's there's also the thing, like, they won't debate you because they say it's in bad faith, but they really don't understand what bad faith is and what it means. So let's learn more. Let's see this guy Angelo, his opinion on the anti-woke, the new woke. Boop.
The less acquainted somebody is with their inner demons, the more likely they are to see demons everywhere else. That is just human nature. Now add in mass loneliness,
God, I hope that's... When I was still like in my 30s even, I laughed at some of these videos that were coming out because there is a ridiculousness to it, right? Like, you can't have a different, there was a lot of that. You can't have a different opinion. You can't say the wrong thing. You have to be progressive. And it just was out of control. Chance, if you ever get the chance, look up that story on that woman, the famous woke woman from memes. Oh God, oh no, he should be good. He should easily fill it, because it is an interesting story. Like, it's not what you think it is, and it was massively. I don't remember the full bit of it, but it's massively overplayed what was happening in the time frame and things like that.
behavior only existed in woke people. But as I matured, I realized that it exists in anti-woke people too. In fact,
Yep.
I was one of them. I saw the moral outrage of woke people
Me too, brother. Me too.
as performative and weak, which it is, but I saw my moral outrage at them as admirable and justified, which it wasn't. Just for the record, thinking fascism is bad doesn't make you a part of Antifa, and thinking wokeness is toxic doesn't make you
People are trying to justify violence over the payment processing drama. It's getting really stupid. Really? Who? Oh, Jesus. And this is where you start to lose the fucking plot. Like, if you got a tweet or something that can show it, then yeah, but it doesn't surprise me. It's where the message gets lost, because what'll happen is politicians who obviously don't give a shit about the stuff getting censored, because no one in America seems to give a shit. In fact, the Republicans that have come out that say they're for the online bills and all this other stuff, it gets lost, because now the same way like Anita Sarkeesian and all of those were able to say, like, look at all of these super evil people and completely get lost in the actual message, is the same way that the current, the people like Savvy and stuff like that are going to get the message lost on their side as well.
anti-woke. In this video, I'm using anti-woke to describe people who are as emotionally
I
invested.
DM'd you the tweet. Yeah, let's see. Why did it get all big? Why you get all big on me? Let's see here. Pulling up X. Don't leak my DMs. Oh, God. So, hold on. Here we go. Now, this guy seems like he's just a shitter, but let's pull it up here. Boop. All right. Oh, okay. PayPal has begun debanking random creators who speak out. I actually I reposted Smash's version of this because I really don't know what happened, right? Just because I don't like ArcCast doesn't mean that he should have his PayPal taken down, but I also don't know the reason, right? There could be something else. Unusual activity to me is it's weird. PayPal began by debanking creators who speak out. Dissent and be removed is coming. So far, my own account is untouched because it may not be that, right? But be wary of if you use it. Do not store your money on it if possible. Yeah, I agree. Don't use PayPal. It's not protected. There's absolutely no protections for your money in PayPal. God, there was some bread tuber who kept all of his money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in PayPal. And what most people don't realize is that when it's in a bank, it's insured up to $250,000. So the only way you start losing money is if $250,000, more than $250,000 is stolen. PayPal is not a bank, so they don't have those same insurances. They get around it, basically. I had a friend, many art friends go through this and lose access to money for 120 plus days. No one should lose access to this unless you are actually doing something law-breaking like okay. Of course, she goes to like the largest things. You know, like the number one thing that happens is money laundering. That's usually it's some form of money laundering in one way or the other. And usually a lot of times what'll happen that I've seen happen anyway is they'll pretend to be someone like the FBI, like a big one that was going on for a long time when I was working for a banking institution was people selling dogs, or the old Indian SAR, like, hey, I have a bunch of money I'm bringing into the U.S. Can I send it through your PayPal account real quick, and then you send me back this amount? So that's usually what's happening. It's usually child traffickers and assassins are not using PayPal. They're not using something that has a clear paper trail. Making video, they're usually using something probably like, well, I don't know about assassinations, but child trafficking probably uses a lot of crypto now. Making videos and talking about how poopy governments and payment processors are should not get you debunked. See, this is what I'm talking about, though. This is what we're just saying. Like, you're immediately going over the top and discounting. Like, you're making it so massive, people are going to point to this and be like, look how retarded and unhinged they are. Savvy should not be the person ahead of this drama. She is a crazy, unhinged bitch. That apparently, I'm not gonna say that. Let's go back to where it only matter of time before these escalates into violence. Like, okay, what they're gonna go to PayPal and start trying to burn down the building? Like, so you're saying you're gonna just do what the right is saying? Well, this is a Canadian guy, so who really gives a fuck? The right is kind of saying in this, like, hey, you remember how we were saying how bad you were for burning Teslas and shit like that? Well, we're going to do the same thing, but with PayPal. I don't know what they're going to do, but any person who is, and of course, friend of the channel, Damage Sector, any person who is willing to become violent over a PayPal account is not someone I would ever care to support. Not saying Artcast would do that. I don't know anything about them and their content, only commenting on their general statement. All of these companies care about the profit. I don't think I've read the general statement. I should do that. I was being a little derpy there. Enough people choosing to stop using their service is enough to make them reverse course and crumble, get replaced by another company. Squeezing them only works until they realize they can go to the governments and ask for bailout money on the implied threat to global market stability if they were to go down. Okay, PayPal's not the bank. I get what he's going for, right? The banks will do this, but PayPal's not a bank. So it's not the same thing. I'm sure there would be something that would happen with it, but they're a I don't even know what you call them. They're one of those services that you can just transfer money with. You know, they'll hold money. It's like those prepaid gift cards and stuff like that. Like, yeah, there's a bank involved in it, but PayPal itself, I don't think, is considered a bank. Okay. I was just randomly deplatformed from PayPal. God, I hate no reason given other than unusual activities, nonsense, OFC, and I was redirected to a page telling me about the rules of card companies. That's what they are. They're card companies. Please make some noise about this if you can. Spread the word, you know. So I'll repost it because I don't know the idea. Will PayPal support do anything? Probably not. Before you can transfer any remaining funds from your house, we must reserve them for up to 120 days. So I think with that 120 days thing is for, if it's unusual activity, they're sending it to whatever government, probably the British government would be my guess, to get it set up. You need to be willing to make a few people bleed. This guy is a retard. He's about my size. That's absolutely the worst point. All that does is it makes other people fight. Whoopsie. Boop. So anyways, people are getting crazy. PayPal really isn't going to do anything over a couple hours of bitch moaning tweets, man. Yeah, I agree. It's probably not going to do anything. The thing is, too, I don't know that there's enough anti-wokers out there to actually cause a mess. And on top of that, everyone, or at least not enough anti-wokers that know who Arxcast is. I really hope Ark has a better strategy. Now people know why I'm unblocked by Alyssa. Is that why? Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. What else were we going to? I mean, it's his strategy should have been to not have his money in PayPal, to have it go to, like, if you want to start out using PayPal as the medium, I think that's fine. You shouldn't hold the money in there. Like, your best option, obviously, is to just go ahead and get a business account set up, right? Because you're gonna have to pay taxes. You're gonna have to do all that other stuff. You might as well have one location for all the money to go. That's a bank. It was the DM of me talking about that you showed. Oh yeah, now people know that. Oh yeah. I'm bad at leaking my own stuff. Something I got to get better at. What I will say is, I think there's need to be more concentrated effort in forcing companies to justify bans, blocks of services, showing the user the exact infraction. I agree. I think there needs to be something behind that. It goes to the same thing of terms and conditions that people have been arguing for years, right? Twitch was notorious for not telling anybody, I think they still kind of are, of not telling anybody why the person's banned. But and it's, I mean, even YouTube is very vague. They tend to be a little bit better, but it's still very vague on what's happens. They don't show the incident necessarily. Well, no, I guess YouTube does send them the incident, right? But either way, you're right. There needs to be more to it showing why. Now, I just thought about, like, a argument for their side, is we'll say, especially when it comes to, like, these banking institutions, is if there's a legal issue with it, if there's like if it could be money laundering, you may not want to immediately say what it is, right? Because you don't want to give up the goat. Not that the person doesn't already know because their account's getting banned, but just so it doesn't confirm it for them. But even then, there still should be something. Like, unusual activity just says we saw something that might be illegal. But it's so vast. It's such a pain in the ass. We'll just say that. All right. Back to the new woke.
In hating.
Oh, he's showing Andy pants. He's showing my buddy Andy pants.
Woke people are in promoting them.
If you notice anything here, that's a man. You mean to tell me that there's not some agenda there? I don't.
This is one of those things. Every time I hear him say it and I see the thing, I'm like, all right, yeah. They're all gay. Every single one of them is gay. They can't stop seeing men in everything.
Believe you.
Queen's Gambit. I'm assuming everyone's asked you about this. I haven't watched it because I believe it's feminist Hollywood garbage and it's propagating the demise of masculinity amongst the...
Hold on. Isn't that movie an actual... it's based off of a true story?
population.
This is the story of how I became one of them, how excessively blaming social justice warriors technically made me one, and why I am no longer interested in picking a side in the absolute circus that is the culture war.
Yes! Is the quartering still crumbling, or did he make enough money again? I don't know. That may be something to look into and see, because I know his coffee company wasn't going well. He had that 80,000. I haven't heard really much around that. I think this might end up mirroring a lot of the stuff that got me into the same notion, like the same thing where I became an anti-woker and then moved over. Queen's Gambit is a fiction based off a novel. Oh, okay. Oh, cancel my last. Okay, that's fair. It's not a. I'll still defend it. Oh God, who's got the plague? I'll still defend it. Like, it's not that big an issue, right? Women can play chess, and I think even now women do fairly well in chess.
There was a small climbing frame in the playground of my primary school. It was state funded, but the kids weren't allowed to play on it because it was too dangerous. So it just sat there tantalizing us, completely desolate, like a dystopian form of decoration. It was all for show. I was never popular at school, but I did manage to get a girlfriend. I fell
Yes, agreed. Some of the top women in chess are smoking hot. Smoking.
in love with her, and then she cheated on me. Teachers
You should look at Stones. I forget what the actual name of the game is. Stones, it's the Chinese chess, but it's a lot more complicated. Some of those women that are in that are hot too.
didn't like me because I asked questions that made their underpaid jobs harder than they had to be, and I could not sit still. Lunch breaks were the only part of school that I actually liked. It was the only time that I could behave naturally and move my body, rather than sitting at a desk and listening to...
You've got the plague, lay down.
Resented me. We would play tag, football, bulldogs, practice handstands and somersaults, and
Okay, there we go.
occasional scuffle. Every now and then, a kid would end up with a busted lip or a scar on his knee from running too fast and meeting with a wall or another kid. With the school staff being almost entirely female, their response was invariably to ask what game was being played that led to the injury, and then ban that game. They banned literally everything from tag.
So this guy is younger than me, so it is a little bit of a different story. He was being raised in that. Mine was very different. Like I was a gamer, but we were very much outside kids too, right? It's not something you see a lot of nowadays. Kids running through the neighborhood. Like I remember biking about 2 miles to the store with with $5 in my pocket to go get candy and stuff like that. We hung out in the neighborhood until the lights came on. You've always heard that kind of meme, at least if you're an American. And then my parents actively locked us out of the house. Like it was like, you're not coming back in until later, right? So don't ask. Go find a place to pee out in the woods. The water hose is out there if you need it. So that was very much. Now, I'm being a little over the top there. Yeah, we could come in for the bathroom, but there have been times that we were locked out. So it was like I was used to this different world when the anti-woke stuff started coming out. I walk two different worlds, as they would say. I was one of the kids who still played outside, but I understood how to work my mom's computer, AOL, and the internet.
To bulldogs, to football, to somersaults. Eventually, the only thing that wasn't banned was sitting around in a circle and talking to each other. So that's what we did. And then they banned that too because too much inactivity isn't healthy. I wish I was exaggerating. In response, I would stage mini rebellions against this authoritarian overreach, which, always did wonders for my already shaky relationships with my teachers. Athletics competitions were fun. I enjoyed those. I would always do quite well at things like sprints and long jumps, but the glory of those victories would be dampened when I received the same participation medal as everybody else. My relationship with teachers...
So there's this thing. I don't know that the participation trophy was ever a new thing. Like, even when I was a kid, there was the big trophy for the team that won, right? There was the big trophy at the end of the year when I played soccer. But then there was very much the small trophies given to everyone who played. Like, each team got their own trophies. This wasn't... I very much think the everyone gets a trophy idea is made up, that it's always existed.
Teachers only got worse in secondary school, and by the time I was 12, I left school entirely. Both the alienation during my impressionable years and the complete rejection by early authority figures of all of the boyish character traits core to my nature were a significant contributing factor to the mental health and drug issues in my teen years. I'm not pulling this out my ass. I did actually go to see a child psychologist when I was 13. By the time I was 15, woke ideology was getting louder.
We want to give some sense of solidarity and provide safety and
Yeah, I remember all this.
Canada proposed Bill C-16, which legally compelled speech, and Jordan Peterson was born.
Free speech is the mechanism by which we keep our society functioning.
This was around the same time that I got cheated on by my first love, so I started watching lots of Jordan Peterson's Become a Monster videos. But that led me onto the politics side of things, which led me to this woke ideology term. And I went down a rabbit hole of woke talking points, which just felt like I was back in primary school, getting lectured by my teachers and told...
You know how I can already tell that this seems to have a good, head on his shoulders? Is he's not talking about the alt-right pipeline. He's not talking about people becoming how I became a Nazi. He's not talking about anything like that. He's specifically talking about like the woke things that turned him to the anti-woke. And I think that's a very, at least a very stable way to talk about it. I can say from my village, when I was 18, I went to the fire station to see if I could volunteer and maybe get a job there. I was outright told they're busy and that they're interested in women and BAME, B-A-M-E, black minority ethics and something like that. That really PMO, and I don't understand all things, but I'll figure it out. Set the scene for my anti-woke right wing. Yeah, I think that was a thing in a lot of it. And I'll say in like the UK or Europe, it's pisses me off. Duh. In like the UK and Europe, it was a lot like y'all tend to have a society that doesn't really fight against the aspect of free speech, the fight for your free speech as much, right? It seems like, at least watching the way some things have been taken with like online people getting arrested for online comments and stuff like that, like it is in the United States, where almost to a fault we fight for free speech, and I agree with that.
Off for being who and what I am. This led me to more anti-woke talking heads who would warn me of the alarmist, dogmatic, and finger-wagging ideologies of the left in a alarmist, dogmatic, and finger-wagging way.
I was never so woke that I thought Alec Jones was like intelligent. I don't know why he got such a big following, but I guess people just like to listen to that.
So good, and I think my daddy had disease.
Maybe it's because it's funny.
As they want to be. See, that's the double standard. This woman cannot afford to make a single frame of a funny face without her expression being immortalized in a billion thumbnails. But this guy can literally scream at the camera for 15 minutes because an RPG asked the preferred pronoun for his character. And he even uses her face in his thumbnails.
His big thing was in the 90s exposing Bohemian Grove. Yeah, I do remember, I guess, some of that, but I guess it takes a little bit longer it usually takes a little bit longer for people to see the unhinged.
Hypocrisy perfected. This woman is quite routinely mocked. Another face of a billion memes and thumbnails, 5 seconds or so of uncontrolled despair about the President of the United States, a topic of actual consequence. But 15 minutes of even more rage over a pronoun in a video game. And the same people call it based.
Yes, good point.
Began forming in my head. It all started to make sense. All the alienation I felt in primary school, all the dismissiveness from my teachers, all the heartbreak and rejection from girls, all the looks of contempt I received when I expressed my struggles, all the subtle messaging I heard that to be good I had to be less like myself, that people who looked like me were responsible for all the evil of history, that I was guilty by association. It all traced back to this one word. Woke. But what did woke actually mean?
Yeah, that's I can say that was a big thing for I think everyone that was around me. I was in the military in the South. My unit was like three black people in my unit, a couple of people from different Spanish varieties. Which gets more Spanish the further south you go when it comes to National Guard units. In fact, there are whole National Guard units that don't really speak English full times with it. But it was very jarring for all of us to be for anyone to be just put in this category. You're constantly being told you're bad and there's nothing you can do about it, and that you should just bow down because of the patriarchy or because of, white agenda. I mean, it's the very thing that's going to point you towards that. The triggered lady picture is one of the most unfortunate things on the video. The frame is taken from, she's fairly chill and talkative without being confrontative. Yeah, I remember watching that whole. I'm watching like a little YouTube doc on it, and it's really like, wow, this woman is forever seen as the woke person, and she doesn't even embody really what was the issue with that, right? What was the issue with the woke? Define woke.
James, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Good. Yeah, I'm anti-woke.
Excellent. Is it in your Twitter profile?
I don't have Twitter, I've got Instagram, but it's in my Instagram.
What does it mean?
profile.
What does it mean?
To me, it means people who seek offence where it doesn't exist. They look for the tiniest little thing.
When and where do you come across the sort of wokeness to which you are so passionately opposed?
When I worked in local authority, you didn't get on with your work. There was a few hours a week dedicated to these sort of woke agendas.
Yeah, go on.
Going on these sort of courses. I went to work. I didn't go into work.
What were you
to
taught?
behave and be nice.
Oh, so these are courses encouraging people to behave and be nice that you object to. That's what you mean by woke. That's what all my other callers have already said.
I think we learn this when we grow up.
Well, some of us do.
I grew up in London.
Well, you're very lucky. You're already very nice and well behaved. What about people who aren't? Surely they benefit from these courses.
Well, they are the ones that should be marginalised. But why do people look?
You want to marginalise people now? Isn't that woke? You want to marginalise people who aren't very nice? Everyone else told me it's woke.
No, I want the people that are nasty and horrible.
Yeah.
Marginalise them. Get rid of them.
That's woke, though. That's what woke means. You're pro-woke, mate. You're not anti-woke.
I was unaware of it at the time, but there was actually two definitions of woke in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a good point. Like, you get to it, and a lot of these people who are against the woke will come out saying that they are woke. Terrible argument when he totally strawmans and jumps down people's throats like what he's doing to the caller. I mean, sure, you can say that, but there is a good point. The problem is he one of the guys that does like what Fox News does, or what some of these people do, where they'll pull somebody up who's a nobody but completely unhinged, and then just or like Ben Shapiro is a good example. I used to really enjoy the Ben Shapiro call out shows, and then I realized the people that he's talking to are like college. Well, I knew that, but it's like they're college kids versus a guy who's been debating his whole life. So is it kind of like that situation? I've never watched that show, so I think I've only seen it maybe one or two times on Chud's show.
Head. An intellectual definition, more abstract and theoretical, and then a functional definition, just what it meant for me, what it meant.
Takes on all callers. He just gets done every now and then by smart guys, but the general public in the UK is stupid. Yeah, I mean, general public in the United States is pretty dumb too.
Intellectually, I defined woke as something like the pursuit of moral self-worth and group belonging by the personal identification with the suffering of others and the elevation of pity and compassion to the highest. But functionally, woke just meant people who don't recognize my struggles yet blame me for theirs. Remember that definition as well, because it will be important.
That's an interesting definition.
Contained a lot of truth. Woke people were moralizers. They seemed to have an almost autoerotic fixation with their own moral purity. Many had savior complexes and could be moved to righteous rage by almost anything. They would explain how normal things like Halloween costumes and air conditioning and motherhood were actually rooted in racism and sexism and some other kind of ism, and should be discouraged or punished.
So I misunderstand. Are we saying that 2 + 2, if you say it's 4, that's racist? I mean, that sounds like we may be mischaracterizing it. What, if you can quickly sum it up?
No, that's not mischaracterizing it at all. Math is basically racist under this ideology because it says there is no such.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Fox News would grab these people that are just absolutely unhinged. I think the one that I always remember is them bringing on someone who said that the rich in the world should pay 100% tax. And, you know, they made it sound like this is a huge woke group that's trying to take over everything, but it was like 100 people or something like that, but it paints this narrative about the other side.
Thing is an objective reality, so 4 might not be the right number. 2 plus 2 might actually equal 5.
Many of their talking points would implicitly affirm the relevance of things like gender and sexuality and race, but would explicitly proclaim their irrelevance. They would latch onto these talking points not to become moralizers, but because they already were. Moralizing is an evolved trait. It's a part of human nature. Everybody does it. I'm even subtly doing it right now. But those who are less mature tend to be more sure of their own goodness and purity. So they feel entitled to moralize with far greater conviction and tend to be far more self-assured and aggressive in their actions. For example, what happened to Abigail Martinez. Abigail was an El Salvadorian mother who was pursuing a better life for her young children in the state of California. One of her children, Yaley, was experiencing depression and questioning her sexuality. In 2015, after joining an LGBTQ group at school, she was convinced by an older trans student that the reason she was depressed was because she was actually transgender. The school faculty then convinced a 16-year-old Yaley to report her mother for abuse so that they could pursue cross-sex hormones against her mother's consent. Yaley's mother, Abigail, was then placed on a child abuse registry. Her daughter was taken from her by Child Protective Services, placed on hormones that irreversibly damaged her bones, and her mother was only allowed to see her for 1 hour per week. And this treatment that they enforced didn't work.
By then, my daughter was in a horrible mental and physical pain. My daughter knelt down in front of a train.
Rob Hoogland has a similar story from Canada when the state moved to fast-track cross-sex hormones for his 14-year-old daughter, except he actually ended up in jail. Both cases played on...
Yeah, this is, I mean, there was some unhinged stuff that was going on. The fact that these governments, and I don't know that there was a lot of cases, like you never know the down and details of it, but it's disheartening. It makes you feel like it gives you that when the news blows it into proportions, even though it was in Canada, and I don't even think the first one was in the United States, right? It was somewhere else. That it just
on a child,
it feels close to home, right?
Was taken from her by Child Protective Services, placed on hormones that irreversibly damage, moralize with far greater conviction, and tend to be far more self-assured and aggressive in their actions. For example, what happened to Abigail Martinez. Abigail was an El Salvadorian mother who was pursuing a better life for her young children in the state of California. One of her children, Yaley, was experiencing depression and questioning her sexuality. In 2015, after joining an LGBTQ group at school, she was convinced by an older trans student that the reason she was depressed was because she was actually transgender. The school faculty then convinced a 16-year-old Yaley to report her mother for abuse so that they could pursue cross-sex hormones against her mother's consent. Yaley's mother, Abigail, was then placed on a child abuse registry. Her daughter was taken from her by Child Protective Services, placed on hormones that irreversibly...
You see why I keep a freedom stick with a bunch of freedom pills in my house, right? You came at an interesting time. Yeah, welcome, Angry Canadian. We are watching Angelo explain to us how he went from being a anti-woker to pretty much what sounds like the same mental state that I'm in.
Damaged her bones, and her mother was only allowed to
probably less unhinged than I am, though.
See her for 1 hour per week, and this treatment that they enforced didn't work.
By then, my daughter was in a horrible mental and physical pain. My daughter...
I think around this time, too, there's a good thing to note that there was a lot of studies coming out about that were like trans positive and things like that. But it's come out 45 freedoms per minute, baby. That's right. That's right. There was a lot of art, a lot of stuff coming out about... trans positivity, the whole idea that the trans kids were going to kill themselves if something happened, if this didn't happen, and other things like that. God, all of my dudes are just mental breaking. And that changed, at least I know it changed on the British side. The American side, it's still kind of up in the air, though it seems like a lot of it is getting pushed. Well, now definitely a lot of it's getting pushed out because of the Trump administration, probably to the detriment of what some of those groups could have been. So, I mean, it was, you were hearing about stuff in schools, you were hearing about things like this. It was just unhinged stuff that was fear-mongering to the point, I mean, it worked.
Knelt down in front of a train.
Rob Hoogland has a similar story from Canada when the state moved to fast-track cross-sex hormones for his 14-year-old daughter, except he actually ended up in jail. Both cases played on my deep instinct for the protection of children, as well as my deep disdain for authoritarian overreach that I developed in primary school. And yet both were done in the name of compassion and progress. This contradiction played on my even deeper disdain for dishonesty, even if no dishonesty was really a play. Anyway, cases like these show just how dangerous it can be when people become too self-assured in their own moral purity. In fact, all the worst atrocities of history have been committed with the exact same mindset. I saw how the leader of Black Lives Matter wore the suffering of her ancestors as a badge of injury to justify spending millions in donation money on 6,500 square foot luxury mansion in California.
Yep.
Rioters burned family-owned shops all across the world in the name of compassion. Shops that looked a lot like the one that my mum works 12-hour days to keep afloat. As I continued learning about cases like these, doom-scrolling on Twitter and hearing more woke talking points, I noticed a common theme, that woke people wear victimhood like a badge of honor. They can't comprehend the idea that a victim could also be evil. In their minds, victim equals good person. So they believe a badge of injury gives them the moral wiggle room to justify aggressive action and moral corner cutting, even in cases where their claims to injury were false or exaggerated, and they were often false or exaggerated for this purpose. This isn't exclusive to woke people. Everybody's probably done something like this at one point in their life, but it just seemed to be happening a lot amongst that crowd. Now, all of this was bubbling up in internal monologue for months, and then the turning point happened. I began to see myself as a victim of their obsession with victimhood. And suddenly there was a group of people out to get me. They controlled the media and wanted to suppress my voice. They didn't care about me. In fact, they despised me.
Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? It is okay to be white.
No, that's not okay. It's terrible to be white.
They held positions of power and made decisions that contributed to my personal failures. My life wasn't how I wanted it to be, and it was their fault. I didn't experience the suffering of Abigail Martinez or Rob Hoogland. I didn't experience the suffering of young men who were living in absolute poverty, but were nonetheless seen as privileged and expected to make amends. But I identified with it. I personally identified with the suffering of others. I understood it. I cared about it. I had a group. I had a side. The victims of wokeness, the censored, the demonized and invisible young men like me who are despised by the culture and blamed for all the evil of the world.
Why is it not okay to be white?
You have done too much.
With our struggles perpetually unrecognized and our contributions unappreciated. And we had a common enemy. Woke people. These people, with their blue hair and their lies, were evil. And I'd become awoken to that fact.
Isn't that like the initial idea of woke was you woke up to what was going on, you woke up to the plight. Oh man. And you know, it's the problem with this is it's very natural feeling, right? When you're in this situation, you feel that you're trapped, that you feel that these people are coming after you. You see them going after other people. Escape the Matrix. That's right. That's I'm sure that's coming. You know, it's very natural to find into these groups. It's why young men end up getting into gangs. You want to feel as part of the group, especially if you're an outcast in society, you know, around poor districts and things like that. So it's natural to want to get this way. You have to actively fight to not become one of the woke or the anti-woke or something like this. Most people don't really have their own opinions. Be careful that when fighting monsters, you do not become a monster. Nietzsche.
The same traits that I despised in woke people. Resentment, bitterness, moral certainty, preachiness,
Oh no.
victimhood,
What the fuck?
pursuit of social justice in the place of personal responsibility. I began to embody them all. Not only this, but causes that I felt deeply about in my younger years, things like the equal treatment of gay people and standing against racism, they became associated with wokeness in my head. The same wokeness I saw as deeply prejudicial.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Like the the constant dig at games that might have a gay character, or when a company might sell a gay shirt or something like that. Very familiar.
Motivations. The same big scary woke monster that was out to get me. So these issues that I originally cared about became red flags by association. Guilty by association. Sound familiar? I couldn't hear somebody talk about racism without feeling resentful and personally affronted, as if they were pointing the finger at me, because the really radical woke people were, and I'd spent hours dwelling over their tweets. Anytime a normal, level-headed left-wing person spoke about, say, gay rights with passion, I would become defensive, even though I agreed with what they were saying, because I would assume that if they were to hear my opinions about, say, economics, they would assume that I was by extension right-wing, and by extension of that, homophobic. Even if this was not a woke person I was talking to, it's just a normal left-wing person. So I would keep my mouth.
This still very much can be a problem with some people on the left. And in the woke side, you know, I've seen people get called woke, or get called, you know, Nazis and other stuff like that. I think it's a part of these more extreme cultures that I think people, at least on the left, are trying to pull away from. The right has fallen completely over into it now, and it's for completely different reasons, but we'll see if anyone ever wakes up to it. The one thing I can't agree from my case with this is I attacked woke for the inadequacy in my life. My worry at the time was the potential harm those immoralizers could cause to me in the future. Yeah, that's a true agreement. And well, even on in a way, he's kind of talking about that when he mentions the cases that were in there. I think saying that it's for your inadequacies isn't the right way to say it. But because there is moral problems, right? You don't want the government coming in and taking your kids away and causing more mental health problems to them than needs to be done. You don't want, it's the same implications of a different party are happening right now. I don't like watching the government put people in camps, right? Regardless of the idea of if they're illegal or not. We're a country that was for a little while, of course, I guess, talking about the Chinese, how they're putting people in camps education camps to re-educate them. And it's always been a bad idea throughout history. It's never gone well. But here we are, putting people in camps in Florida.
Mouth shut most of the time about my opinions on almost anything. But I cared about my opinions. I cared about things in general, which would make me resentful of the tendency of these darn woke people to jump to conclusions all the time.
Can't beat the classics. You're not wrong, Kamoji. You can't beat the classics.
That tendency was like a cultural muzzle, keeping my mouth shut. What I didn't realize was that I was the one who put it on.
Go on, just tell everyone the thing that they already know that you're talking about, but you're not prepared to say out loud. Because otherwise people might think you're a bit woke. You're frightened of causing offence, are you? Isn't that what woke means?
I have been cowed into silence by your lot.
No, mate, you have tied yourself in knots single-handedly.
I've been cowed into silence. You know who you are. It's your curtain switchers. It's your ones that look out of their window and look for offence where it doesn't exist.
At what point...
I was jumping to the conclusion that these very normal, level-headed people would jump to conclusions about me. I was preemptively doing the very thing that I was resenting them for. I was projecting my shadow. And I based that assumption on a very small but loud proportion of the left who, from my perspective, represented the entire wing, despite just being a very loud and annoying feather. And so my attitude towards left-wing issues...
So there's the thing I can say too, that I, in your will to talk about it, I was never scared of gay people, right? Like when I was looking at gaming and gaming woke was starting to come into gaming, it was very much, it was very much for the idea. Like I was very fit on the idea that they're changing the games that already have established stories, right? And it was never for me, oh, Jesus Christ, really, Krax? Really? Fucking Krax, what are you doing? Anyway, it was never really, to me, it was never like, I didn't see a woman and say, oh, ugly women, uglification of women. Even when Dragon Age Inquisition came out, I was touted as a bad game, but I don't remember anything being woke about it. A lot of my changes in it weren't realizing I was making the same argument. It was realizing the argument had changed to such a ridiculousness that I didn't want to be a part of it.
Became more distant. And yet I still blamed the left for many of the issues in my life. Okay, pause. You remember my functional definition of wokeness from earlier? People who don't recognize my struggles yet blame me for theirs? From the perspective of regular, good-intentioned left-wing people, I was becoming more like that. More dismissive of their struggles, and more ready to blame them for mine. And it wasn't just me. An entire reactionary counterculture emerged online of people who were tired of the finger-wagging tactics of the left and started wagging their fingers at it.
And because of that, woke tards are
oh god.
Point being, woke and anti-woke people often look like opposites in content. Yet beneath the slogans, they share the same psychological engines. Performative virtue, competitive victimhood, in-group glorification, that's a really big one. Algorithm.
Melanie Mac looks like the kind of girl I would have dated in my 20s. She's probably going to stab me, but I'm going to risk it anyway kind of girl.
Fed outrage and a rejection of complexity, all fueled by fear and intellectual laziness. So now where are we? We have two groups of people who are actively becoming less self-aware and projecting their shadows onto each other. So they're losing sight of the actual issues that they claim to be arguing about. And I say claim on purpose, because woke versus anti-woke isn't a debate about policies anymore. Maybe in part, but I don't think that's the core of it. And it sure as shit isn't about the truth or statistics. The truth is not the goal of this battle. It is the sword. It's only used when it's useful. So what is the goal of the battle? In my opinion, moral outsourcing.
I killed those guys because they were
moral outsourcing. Let's see what he says here.
Everybody is awful these days.
I think a lot of people aren't really looking for justice. They're looking for relief from the weight of responsibility, from the struggles of their lives.
Jordan Peterson said once, he gets protests at his talks all the time. So he was sort of touring universities, giving talks, and he would get people sit outside, left-wing protesters just screaming, trying to block entrances, all of this kind of stuff. And he made one change to the way that he conducted his talks, and the protests disappeared overnight.
Go on.
He started holding them in the morning.
That is unbelievably perfect.
People couldn't be bothered to get out of bed.
Yeah, people don't want justice. They just want retribution. And is it like the problems in their life? I don't know about that. I do think people get on like the internet. The internet is a lot of the ways the way it is because people want to blow off steam when they get online, right? That's why you like the anonymity. You can go in and talk some shit. So yeah, I guess there's a portion of it there, but I don't know. It's like the inadequacies in your life. I don't necessarily agree with that. There's a lot of really popular people who have these, kind of, who preach these same things that I do believe in it to some point. I think there's a lot of grifters out there, or people doing it for political reasons, but at the same time, it's I don't know. Let's listen more.
Ben. I mean, nobody wants to be the one responsible for fixing shit. So instead, they do something that we all learned to do as children. Outsource the burden. Mummy! Daddy! Someone fix it! Sorry, that was a little bit too far.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by moral outsourcing. It's a psychological sleight of hand where you take your struggles and you give them to somebody else by saying, you made this mess, now you fix it. Everybody is familiar with this tactic. It happens on a micro scale in personal relationships all the time, and on a macro scale in identity politics. Actually, identity politics can just be seen as the struggle of various humans to scapegoat each other. Moral outsourcing is at the core of woke ideology. Society needs to walk on eggshells around your identity and your triggers and your wounds. It's not enough for the outgroup to simply not contribute to your struggles. They have to be actively involved in fixing them. Because why? Because it's their mess to fix. Disappointingly popular ideas like black people can't...
Is it their mess to fix? Like, I think there is an argument for... Let me think here. Hold on while that came up. I mean, I think there's an argument for like this idea of parenting like came around after my generation, where it was more positive enforcement and things like that. And there is good science around that over negative ones like spankings and things like that. But I think a lot of that got overblown, right? So you had these people that started to take advantage of these ideas of like mental health, of things like that, and you know, kind of build the victim mentality. But then when it comes to like trans and identity politics, I don't think that stems from people trying to put their problems on other people. I think it's an overcorrect. Like you can admit that there are mental disorders around it, but there's also the idea of not knowing yourself. Like I think everybody, every kid, every person on this earth has felt like they didn't belong. Like you've got, you know, a false sense of self, like what you're doing isn't working. These are normal things that people feel. I don't know if they're trying to push it on other people initially, but it's the idea of trying to find themselves and then finding it in a way that everyone has to cater to you. But I don't think that's the same thing that he's saying. Let me listen back one more time, because I kind of yapped there.
In personal relationships all the time, and on a macro scale in identity politics. Actually, identity politics can just be seen as the struggle of various humans to scapegoat each other. Moral outsourcing.
Yeah, I don't think it's scapegoating each other. I think it's trying to find self in something. I also do, as much as I hate to admit it, agree with some of the ideas of its wanting to be part of a group. And that ended up being some kind of victim mentality in that case, because when you look at like the black struggles in the United States and things like that, people gather around that. Well, now the gays have had their struggles that are going up. So you want to relate to these groups. So you get in with them, but it becomes so mixed up because everyone wants to find something. I don't know if I agree with what he's saying, though.
Outsourcing is at the core of woke ideology. Society needs to
I don't think it's outsourcing. I think it's trying to change culture to fit your ideals. I guess that's a better way to put it.
On eggshells around your identity and your triggers and your wounds. It's not enough for the outgroup to simply not contribute to your struggles. They have to be actively involved in fixing them. Because why? Because it's their mess to fix. Disappointingly popular ideas like black people can't be racist take this to its logical end in the most beautiful and blatant example of the Jungian shadow that I've ever seen. You see it in incel forums too, where they blame Stacy or Chat feminism for their inability to get laid. You see it in far-right crowds where they morally outsource to entire races Hitler outsourced the mess of post-Weimar Germany to Jews and then set to exterminate the mess by exterminating its new hosts. But perhaps what goes less noticed is the moral outsourcing of anti-woke people. They do it when they blame woke culture for their failures. They do it when they blame the prevalence of woke ideas for their perceived lack of deserved praise.
I gotta disagree with him here on this one. I don't think it's that. I think it's change. Like I was thinking about it the other day, and a lot of this is Jesus Christ, Krax. A lot of it feels very much the same to old people talking about the times changing, right? You have a preconceived notion of what the world was and being a better place, whether it's right or wrong. Why are you not attacking? Melee attack him. And you want it to be that happy way you remember it as a child, or you remember the good old days. And I think that's where a lot of the anti-woke stuff has come from. But he's kind of losing me here.
I mean, there's often an implication in excessively anti-woke types that if woke ideology was suddenly eliminated from the culture, then everybody would drop to their knees and beg for forgiveness for being so blind to see how truly magnificent you really are. Women would just throw themselves at you, and employers would rush to hire you and give you bonuses. And you'd live with your beautiful trad wife with massive boobs on a farm, and you'd suddenly learn how to farm as if you're not the type of person to sit in front of a computer complaining about the new Toy Story movie being too woke. And the reason that all of those things aren't happening is simply because of those damn blue-haired libtards. And to be perfectly fair, I can kind of see where they get this idea. Much of woke messaging towards young men in particular can sort of be summarized as, you don't deserve your stuff, give us your stuff. This may all be true, and yet the very act of morally outsourcing your problems to the purveyors of woke nonsense.
The world you grew up in is dead, and people need to accept it. Yeah, I think there's always a point you need to take into consideration for that. The thing is like even the world that the anti-woke are pushing, where I think it's been kind of lost in that message, is not the world it was before, right? A lot of the things that were from this day were not. It was very much shunned. Porn and a lot of this other stuff. Really. And hold on. Let me kill this. A lot of those things were shunned. Like porn was something. The porn became more mainstream because of the news or because of the internet. But but other than you doing it in your basement, or while your parents were away, it wasn't like all over the place. Unless you call us like Playboys. I remember finding my dad's Playboys as a kid. For women. For women. Men do everything for women, so.
Puts you right in the same boat as them.
Okay.
Or at least a very similar boat. I'll explain what I mean. Woke people take the ideas of the far right and use them to categorize moderately right people so that they don't have to actually contend with perspectives that challenge the worldviews upon which they have formed their identities. And if you are a woke person or an anti-woke person, you can't tell me this is not true. Your personal identity is deeply enmeshed and intertwined with this narrative you have about the evil right people or the evil left people. And anti-woke people take the ideas of woke people to categorize anybody on the left for the exact same reason. That's why woke people will take any right-leaning elements of this video and use them to categorize me as far-right or alt-right, while anti-woke people will take the criticism that I've leveled at them and their worldviews, and any of the left-leaning elements of this video, and use them to categorize me as woke. But both parties missed an opportunity to gain the most valuable resource in...
Actually, I don't know about that completely, because I've had anti-woker, or at least a sped in an anti-woker chat, actually call me a Nazi. That was unique. I don't know. He's really losing me here. Like, yeah, there's team sports, right? You get, especially when it's something as visceral as the culture war has been, if you're not really thinking hard about it and there's people speaking your argument, you tend to want to, you gravitate towards those people, right? Enlightened centrism is starting to show. You know me, I'm the enlightened centrist. I'm just a libertarian who says, you know, do what you do. Oh, he's the enlightened centrist. Yeah, it's playing both sides, but I don't really agree with some of the stuff he's gone over here. I think they're very surface level ideas of what the woke and anti-woke are.
Today's day and age. The maturity necessary to free yourself from hating the other side, and the peace and self-awareness that comes with that. Because the reason I'm talking about...
Or you can do the incredibly based thing and hate both sides. It's just...
None of this is political. It's deeply personal. This is not a political problem. It becomes one down the line, but fundamentally it's a personal problem. My anti-woke position reflected my early experience with the hyper-feminine teachers I had at my primary school. My hatred for whiny social justice warriors reflected my own whiny attitude towards the injustices done to me.
Yeah, this like self-hating thing, I don't agree. Yes, there is a deeper, you know, cultural issue with the way people do it. I don't know what you would say personal. I guess the culture that we talk about is personal, but is it all down to me changing the core of myself? No, because I'm still going to have the values and ideas that I've had, you know, forever. Ooh, excuse me. So, I mean, the culture war stems from a lot of cultural problems. Progressivism stands from always wanting to change to be better. Conservatism and your moral beliefs believe in those things that were better about the way it was, like it was working, quote unquote. You want to keep it more the way it was, because conservative in England doesn't mean the conservative in the United States. It's a very different idea. I don't know, just this, because I'm a whiny bitch, I project that they're whiny bitches. I don't think I agree with that.
It's like feeling left out, and all the story that I told you at the beginning about how school was really hard for me and it was really bad. Okay. And my disdain for the intolerant...
I mean, this comes down to his personal opinion on it. Not everyone's idea of that is what's going on. I didn't have a bad upbringing or anything like that may have put me into that side, right? I wasn't I wasn't looking at myself and going, you know, my life is so hard, I skipped school. No, I marginally passed. I struggled with my ADHD, but that didn't have anything to do with the ideas of the woke and anti-woke. I had a fine upbringing in, you know, my 20s and 30s. It was all pretty normal. But these anti-woke and woke ideas still resonated in a way, negative for the woke, positive for the anti-woke. It was my beliefs that did it, not, you know, me being a little bitchy person. Political sides might be different across countries, but we all understand the universal language of soy. We do, and I hate to say it, but Angelo, I think you're getting on the little soy side of it for me. I mean, it's the individual he's trying to speak to is his personal experience, and that would assume that everyone who is an anti-woker or a woke is living in has had a bad life, but that's not the case. That's just not the case at all. So, kind of falls flat for me a little bit on this.
Intolerance of woke people reflected my own utter intolerance at the conditions that led them to those beliefs, of the existential dread that might push somebody to engage in hyper-ideological meaning-making. Political ideologies tend to reflect personal values. The more rigid the ideology, the more rigid the person. And what can't bend snaps, even at friends and family members. So, what should we do instead?
The third place to stand, the enlightened centrist.
That up in a bow. Wokeism said we have been oppressed, and now we deserve power. And anti-wokeism replies, we have been suppressed, now we deserve power. Both sides would love you to pledge your allegiance, either to them so that they have more power and more community, or to their enemy so that they have more subjects upon which to exercise that power, or more touch points against which they can form an identity. Neither side wants you to...
Yeah, we can do that. Hold on. Why? Okay, I just realized y'all probably can't hear shit because I still have all the sound turned up from when I was playing earlier with my other nicer playthrough. So let's get that. Boop. Let me pop in here and I'll bring you in, Nazmir. Boom. I always say mirror, and I know it's not mirror. I'm me. Boop, boop, boop. Hello. Can you hear me?
Testing.
There you are. I can hear you fine.
There I am.
What you got for me?
Yeah. So it was just interesting seeing him establish, the core principle that the anti-woke has just become the woke, in the sense of how they grandstand and moralize and use the same argumentation tactics. And they'll always say well, it's okay because we're in the right this time. It was interesting, like you said, he's bringing in his personal biases there when it came to the inadequacies or the failings in my life. It's from my end, and probably from a lot of other people, it's going to turn a lot of people off because I have a great life type thing is just going to be thrown back at them, and I'm anti-woke. So it wasn't, like I said in the chat, it wasn't so much I'm compensating for something by joining the anti-woke. It's more like people got kind of sucked into this, holy shit, if these people have absolute control and power, I'm fucked. So it was a preventative measure. And I've kind of moved away from it hard pivoted because I realized nothing's coming out of this anymore.
Yeah.
No, we are not going to be, enslaved for being white, or that's an extreme example. I'm being sad right now, but yeah, you see what I mean. The next point of call, because he's coming to a third position, a third solution, which might be using that wordage might be a dog whistle right there.
Yeah.
But that is one thing I've been worrying about. I've kind of moved. Oh shit! I'm about to get into a firefight.
Yeah. What are you playing?
I'm playing top.
Nice.
Same time. I won. The position of what I'm worried about is just being the anti woke. That's kind of where the only thing that's banged on about is how the anti-woke are bad. And there's absolutely challenges. They need to be challenged on a lot of their bullshit, but the core thing is not being defined by that. And it's going to be a challenge to do that balancing act.
Yeah, I agree. For me, when it came to changing from the anti-woke, it's because I started, there is that initial get into, I agree with a lot of the stuff. There's my cultural and moral beliefs and the ethical beliefs of my, society that I believed in. But then as it got further along, there was arguments that were coming out that I wasn't 100% on with, right? Especially when it came to the uglification of women, gay guy being in games. I was well, those aren't kind of my beliefs. And I think what I did is, and I still have a problem doing this today. I think everyone really does, is I started looking at each instance, each thing that comes up that I'm going to go to talk about with the anti-woke or the woke as that situation separately and first, and then look over the greater side of it. Because a lot of times you realize your morals don't line up with the guy who's talking about them. And I hope that's kind of what he's going into here. You should think about what your you should think about your own morals and figure how they fit into it, and give yourself room to talk. But with his first argument being, a lot of his stuff being, well, it's because my life was sad that I fell into this. It just, no, because there's thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people across the world that were just fine and have issues with a lot of the things, right? Any family man could, disagree with the trans kid stuff, right? You don't have to be an anti-woker to be like, well, hell, I don't want them putting my kids into surgery that I don't know anything about. And that can get you into that anti-woke side. So
100%, yeah.
Yeah. You want to finish out the last of this with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Stand independently,
hiding in a bush
or
right
to
now.
understand their game, because it reveals their hypocrisies and their weaknesses. It reveals their shadows. But both sides genuinely want their struggles to be recognized. They are humans. I won't say they deserve to have their struggles recognized. Frankly, I could give a fuck about deserve.
Humans, some of them I think are lizard people, but
If both sides manage to grant just a little bit more recognition to the struggles of the other, then both parties stand to gain. And Gen Z might find it a little bit easier to make friends. And Western nations would become stronger. Dogmatists don't want either side to believe that. They want moderates to believe that it is a zero-sum game, my way or the highway. This is no surprise, since dogmatism is simply the political branch of immaturity, and my way or the highway is the motto of toddlers.
Okay. I think I see where this sounds like he's going towards the enlightened centrist idea. But he's kind of like killing his own argument when he starts bringing up dogmatic politics and things like that, versus it saying it being an individual issue, or a personal issue. You agree kind of there?
Yeah, I think it should just be like an analysis of the philosophy. Let me just mute myself, okay? There we go. An analysis of the philosophy in sense of like just taking the arguments for what they are, and then being like, okay, let's fucking grok AI it. Let's sum up what you've got here and go through it. Is it true? And then being able to independently judge and verify if what this person is saying is true, not just believe it because you like the personality that you're watching say it.
Yeah, I agree. Instead of that, just reading the headlines, maybe actually open it up and read what's going on versus, well, let's see where he goes with it. Yeah.
Do what you do on stream.
Yes. Yeah. Open the article up. I've started doing that. I'll admit, man, in my 20s and 30s, I was just as guilty of seeing an article and immediately coming to a conclusion about it. It wasn't until I got older then I was like, maybe I should actually start reading some of these, and it changed a lot of my views and turned me really, really libertarian.
Reason that it's time to make political and moral outrage cringe again. To be morally outraged in 2025 at wokes or anti-wokes does nothing more than to display your failure to understand yourself and the species to which you belong. To stand with performative surprise as you exclaim, I just can't understand how social justice warriors can be such hypocrites, or I'm just so shocked at the popularity of Donald Trump, does not display your moral superiority over social justice warriors or Trump supporters. It just demonstrates your immaturity, lack of self-awareness, and failure to understand the deeply personal sources of these seemingly impersonal ideologies. I mean, perhaps the social justice warrior was molested as a child, lived in fear of and felt outcast, only to be accepted with open arms by a group that recognized her struggle and gave her a worldview that generalized that crime across humanity, providing her with a surrogate enemy to fight in the idea of the patriarchy, where she could never fight the actual enemy, in her molester. Perhaps the Trumps...
Okay. God, this is getting really soy. How do I put this? He's going around this the wrong way, right? No one is going to connect with this because he's basically calling them all cringe babies and stuff like that. It's like he's trying to talk to the Zoomers and the younger folks. Obviously, some people within his age bracket, but he's not doing it on a way that people are going to connect with, right? Like you were saying, you can focus on the hypocrisies. You can focus on the individual arguments, but just saying like you should think about the person who got raped. I don't think that's going to bring people onto your side, right? People don't generally get very personal about stuff like that until it happens within their social group.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that people, are going to go through things in life that lead them to the conclusions of where they are, but it's about evaluating the conclusions they have and seeing what's fair and what's not. From my experience, like with some of the talks about harassment.
Yeah.
Some of the talks about like harassment on women and treatment of women. Yeah, I've seen that in the G&G. Oh, sorry. Oh, name dropped already. In the anti-woke circles. I've not seen it, but like people have seen it and told, when I was having starting to speak out against this, people would tell me and like give me the information like, yeah, this stuff is wild in those circles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just like, so there's absolutely a case of like the sexual harassment and all those kind of things happening, and it's a legitimate criticism and thing that we need to address. At the same time, like when it comes to like you see these videos online circulating of like drag queen story hour, but then the video that comes up is like a full-on stripper show, and you're like, what? That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible.
I don't need to consider the molestation that happened to that person in that time when I think that's an issue for putting that around kids. It's like no different than a stripper coming to a school. Like that wouldn't be acceptable to me either. It doesn't matter that the stripper's life was hard. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So like, and then on the opposite end, yes, there have been like, fake Me Too's, and there needs to be like, and then some people will get really mad because their friend got like falsely accused. So therefore they're going to just like outright deny all forms of sexual harassment. It's like both ends.
Yeah.
Just like, yes, I understand how both ends got there, but at the same time, they're both wrong.
Yeah, exactly. The enlightened centrist.
We need to evaluate what they're saying rather than how they got to where they're saying it.
Yeah, it's looking at everything that's around it and coming up to some kind of assessment. You've already kind of said that point, because each situation is going to be different. But the thing is, people don't tend to think that. Like if a woman has an experience, sexual assault or something like that, she is going to look at everything else around that from that side. It's a very hard thing to fight. So I think the people who, there's a little merit to thinking about what the other people think, but at the same time, you don't have to bow down to what they think. You still have to find the truth. And sometimes there's not a yes or no answer, because morals can be absolutely different for each and every person, right? We see that with some of the people online who have weird, crazy morals.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this up.
Supporter grew up in a hollowed out town where the local industry collapsed, leaving his single mother scraping by on food stamps and unstable wages, while being told by every news anchor, college graduate, and coastal elite that he was privileged. Maybe he watched his older brother working himself into exhaustion only to be replaced by a diversity hire, leaving his family hungry. Maybe he was a quiet kid who never fit in, teased and falsely accused at school, overlooked in college applications due to racist affirmative action policies, only to be accepted with open arms by a group that recognized his struggle and gave him a worldview that generalized it across humanity, providing him with a surrogate enemy to fight in wokeness, where he could never fight the original enemy in his absentee father, poverty. These are just...
I feel like he's projecting heavily here when he says, you know, it's down to like one thing in your life. It's not always that simple to, you know, yes, your experiences affect your worldviews and things like that, but it's not this visceral, like I need to think about every single person's life when it comes around to it. It's still, I can't say anything different about what we believe, otherwise I'd just be repeating myself, but he's really focused on this individualism that you're weak, so you shouldn't have it. There's one thing that I've tried to teach my kids that I think a lot of people need to take into account when it comes to, especially when it comes to like the internet and people's opinions and things like that, is you have to build up a certain amount of resistance or resilience. The Army likes to call it resilience, even though I hate the way the Army portrays it. Like the idea that sticks and stones will break my bones, but words can never hurt me is bullshit. Words can hurt you, but you have to build up some form of resistance. Like you can't let other people fully affect you. And it actually worked out with my daughter one time. Her cousin called her a bitch, and we addressed it as parents, but my daughter came up to me and she's like, you know, Dad, talking to you about that and realizing that it's just a word she says made it a lot easier for me. And I think a lot of people on the left and right could take that idea. You have to prepare yourself for people not liking you.
Yeah.
Two examples. It might not be very good.
Hold on.
Same here when.
Go ahead.
It's more of the same here with what you say in regards to like just address the arguments, bro. Address the arguments rather than the person, because then it becomes a bit of a straw man, not a straw man, an ad hominem where you're just like in a patronizing sense where you're just like, oh, rather than listening to what they have to say and taking it and taking it piece by piece on the content of what they're saying. You're just going, oh, I understand. You just were probably a poor kid that had like a really bad time, and you're now being told all this negative stuff, and it's not your fault, and patting them on the head, or on the opposite end, like, oh, I understand that you were assaulted as a woman, and now you're taking it out on this concept of the patriarchy and lashing out at us men. I understand. Like, it's a bit of like an ad hominem in a way that you're not addressing what they said. You're just belittling their character.
Yeah.
The person they are.
Yeah, which could just as easily turn them away from you as insulting them on that sense, because people don't tend to like being belittled. It all comes down to no matter how the other person feels, if the argument is wrong or your argument is right, then that's what we should be focused on. That's what matters.
Across. Two people who drew the short end of the stick. They didn't get justice, most people don't. They got a story. One that wraps their struggle in a narrative with heroes and villains and gives meaning to their pain. That's what ideology is, a way to package pain, to moralize it. But in the culture war, there are no heroes and villains, just humans, each carrying the weight of the world, desperate to be recognized for the strength it takes to do so, yet hesitant to grant that recognition to others for fear of diluting their own. I'm afraid to release this video, because I know there will be a knee-jerk reaction from people who haven't yet learnt to live without the story that sanctifies them or gives them meaning. I'm not blaming them for that. How can you blame the lightning for flashing? The lightning is the flash.
Okay, bud.
My only hope is that in taking the time to recognize both the pain and the absurdity of either side, I can inspire other people to drop their proverbial swords on the ground. and see that just because a bee can cause a lot of pain, that doesn't mean that it's not vulnerable. Just because you may be pained by the existence of woke people, anti-woke people, that does not make them invulnerable. A bee is still crushed under a boot heel. The big scary woke monster is not scary at all. But the strength of fanatics lies in their ability to provoke you into attacking them, to seduce you into fighting unnecessary battles and saying things you don't actually mean or haven't actually thought through. And if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that you actually don't have to take the bait. You don't have to solidify your position. You don't have to be pressured out of an honest...
Where's the fun in that, though? All right. I mean, it's just kind of more. He went really soy on this. Like by this metric, no one should ever argue about anything online because it might cause offense to somebody else. Like whether it's the woke or anti-woke. So we should just all turn off the internet and live in our own home.
No debate is to be had ever because
Yeah.
they have it hard. And they need to self-actualize.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. I get that people want to self-actualize, but again, there's that sharpen through steel, isn't it? Like steel. Yeah. I can't remember the actual saying, but forged by fire, I guess, where you actually have to stress test and put these arguments through the ringer.
Yeah, the argument was always in the army, pain is weakness leaving the body. Resiliency and stuff like that. I mean, the army goes a little kind of crazy with it, but yeah, it's that idea that you have to test yourself and you have to push yourself. Even as a society, that's what we do to find out where the morals of that society is, and it's forever changing as we test ourselves against each other.
It's like that Diogenes, where Plato, I think it was Plato. It was either Plato or Socrates, was like a man trying to define what a man is. And it's like a man is a hairless, flightless, bipedal creature. And then Diogenes like busted into the room with a plucked chicken going, "Behold, a man." Absolutely rinsed his argument. And it probably made Plato or Socrates, one of the two, very upset and embarrassed. But I mean, it disproved him. It really kind of shot down what he was trying to say there and evolved the conversation into something more complex, more more like intellectually stimulating, and gives us all, it benefits us all in a more like greater understanding of the world around us in that sense. And that's what has to be done with this anti-woke stuff. And it's why I'm so like anti-woke fatigue, I guess, in the sense of like it's just the same shit over and over. I mean, people still to this day are like being like, Anita Sarkeesian, shaking their fists, and I'm like, guys, we need to evolve. We need to go get way past this, way past just AI creating like these AI images of like, I don't know, Tifa with bigger tits and being like, this is the future of gaming. It's such slop. And that's my biggest problem now, is just become utter slop, repetitive drivel. It's just this. I'm so bad with words at 3-4 in the morning.
That's all right. I'm bad with words every day, all times.
That's derivative. That's the word I was thinking of. Derivative. It's just so derivative. The same thing day in, day out since 2018, probably a little bit further back. And it's time to move forward and see what else can be said. Like, it's why I want to have conversations with like someone like Alyssa McCante. Shout out if she does end up watching this VOD. It's, I want to talk to her about like woke, the woke, and like gaming journalism in general, and how like gaming journalism could be pushed forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would speak to her too, just as much as I would speak to SmashJT, even though I know stuff like that will never happen. But, well, you can keep pushing. Eventually, I think we can get to a point where, like right now, like you said, there is the fatigue. People are tired of hearing the same arguments over and over again. And it gets lost in the sauce when money starts to get thrown around. Because while I believe that some people involved with this did believe in their messages in the beginning, you look at something like Yellow Flash, and you can see just in the way, or you can hear in the way he talks and see in the way he does his articles, he's doing it by memory now. It doesn't sound like he has any belief in what he's saying.
Yeah, it's just fill the buzzwords in and just change the name out. Like instead of like Dustborn, it's Marathon or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Boilerplate template script. Yeah, and that's what I would say. I'd say people like Smash are a lost cause because it's the final desperate act for the money. I genuinely believe like someone like Smash is, or what's his name, Endymion. They're just desperate for the clicks and the money on it. But it's like the fans. You know, I think there's a term. God, I can't remember who it was now, but it was like the demoralization, desensitization, takeover, and all this kind of stuff. And he talks about like how propaganda works from the USSR perspective, where they're just like demoralizing people, which, you know, it really feels like that's what they were doing, just demoralizing people, saying like everything's woke and everything's gay and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like desensitizing them to the point where it's just all the same. And then you have the useful idiots help you take over and get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like Nobody is a useful idiot who just like is a full-on like believer of the cause. But someone like him could be talked to and reasoned to, despite being, you know, a little bit bought in.
I think someone like Dash TV or Dash Attack could be. Yeah. I think he's a useful idiot. I actually think Nobody is much more manipulative. I think he is a parasite feeding off of Smash. That's my opinion on him anyway. But I get what you're saying. Yeah. Well, it's because
I was like wrong in the character assessment there, but Dash, or, you know, the fans, like the people who are like not content creators, not financially incentivized to do this, because when you're financially incentivized to do this, you're never going to be like, oh yeah, I was wrong, and just totally pivot and lose half your audience. But the audience themselves, they can be talked to and reasoned down. It's tough. It's really a fucking tough job, because it's very cult-like mentality, trying to like deprogram. They jump on using that word, but, you know, like trying to deprogram a Manson member, a Charles Manson member. But yeah, it is like that.
Yeah, Tired Kimoji mentioned a good ones like Cult Classic and Will of the Fans. Like, I agree. I give Cult and Will a hard time, but I see them, like, especially in Cassie's side, she seems to at least do more videos that she has stuff that applies to gaming, right? There may be something there. And Will is Will. Like, I definitely think he's a useful idiot. But yeah, you're right. It's as even if I'll get a little bit personal, since he was like, it was that awakening moment where, like, I looked a little bit deeper, you know, I stuck my head underneath the water and I'm like, it's not really like that. Like, there's little strands, you find this and like, oh, Endymion kind of lied here, or he mischaracterized this. Well, let me go look at other stuff. And I think as you show people that, I think more and more will pull away, or at least I hope so. I just hope the problem is the pendulum's kind of probably go back the other direction.
Yeah, for me it was like when I was in the Geeks and Gamers stuff, I didn't really watch their videos that hard. I was just friends with people who were like real hardcore Geeks and Gamers guys. And I was in the whole anti-woke thing and all that, like Eric July and stuff. But I started looking at these videos and I was like, these are really derivative. Can we stop with the, X gone woke, X utterly destroyed, copes and seas, and all this, like the same titles, the same video format over and over and over. And then the reply I would just get is like, oh, well, that's what the algorithm shows me. That's what the views get me. I'm like, so that's what we care about here, is not principles, not about getting better, not about, actual ideology and philosophy. It's just about like the views. Is that what you're telling me? Well, this is a shitty, this is a shitty foundation to base everything off.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's okay to make money at the things, and I'm not really completely against clickbaity titles, but I think you can be unique with it at least. Same thumbnails. You're right. Same thumbnails over. Like the meta right now is a black background with the person you're talking about on the screen in red letters that they did something. So yeah, I mean, it gets tiring seeing it all the time. Like I said, I think more and more people are waking up to it. If one thing, it's at least losing its prominence. You can see it with Smash's lawsuit right now. Like, people aren't coming out to give him all the money they gave him before, right? You would have think if he was still as popular as he was and people still believed in it, he would have at least got like 120. He would at least doubled what he had, right? And it's not there anymore. I think he's getting kind of left out to dry. And I think Cole
be my fight.
Your fight?
You finish?
No, go ahead.
No, that'll be my final point. Will be like the SmashJTs, the Hypnotics, the Geeks and Gamers, the Heels versus Babyface, all like the OG fucking pronouns. Them people who did all this. If they suddenly 180 pivot and they're just like, I just want to play games, they absolutely need to be called out and utterly smashed for not recognizing how much like they drove back games discussion like 10 years.
Yeah.
More. 50,
I agree.
like, rather than just like analyzing, the mechanics, how things are balanced out, all the systems of the game and how it works in conjunction. Games critique has been launched back 10, 15 years to like, has it got enough titties? Oh, it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
And it's just allowed things like microtransactions and other things. Like, we've gotten some wins. It seems like for the most part, loot boxes are a dying medium. They're still in like gacha games and things like that, obviously, but it's not as big a push into more AAA titles. Like from what that
they support, by the way. Gacha games, they fucking love the gacha games because they're Asian developed and they have the titty skins. And it's like, this is the future of gaming. I'm like, what? The same repetitive, boring mobile phone game loop over and over and over, and then just pop-ups for like skins. That's the future of gaming. You are an absolute terrible representative for the gamer then.
Yeah, it gets into those arguments of like they're not real gamers, because real gamers, when I was growing up, used to dog people who played on mobile apps games, right? Those were not real gamers. And it's gotten better. Like, I don't think the full argument of it's not real gaming could be even considered right now. But it's also not like the gacha game industry is just a gambling trap. Yeah. And it's it embodies all of the worst things of gaming. But hey, Savvy likes it because of Twink Guy or whatever, Twink model.
She's one of the few, because on Twitter I mute accounts that are like, the obvious engagement baiting. she's one of the only few I muted that isn't like a flat out engagement beta in the typical sense.
Yeah.
Just the oh my god, dude.
She's
cringe lady.
She sometimes it seems like she could at least do some good surface level research, but the way she presents it and the way she talks about gaming, like she's completely lost in her own farts. And then there's this playing up that's happening where like everybody's trying to mimic Asmongold and like being disgusting bottom feeding basement dwellers. And it's just absolutely, I don't know who they're trying to, well, I mean, they're trying to appeal to Asmongold's audience, but you're just going to end up being a waiting room for him at that point. We need.
Anyway, I will stop derailing you, and I'll let you crack on with the next stuff that you got.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on. Always welcomed. Always fun to have you on and talk about stuff. Maybe one day we'll disagree with something and we can really get into it.
That would be a good way to show how it can be done.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what needs to be shown is people have different arguments for it. I mean, I was trying to do it originally with, bringing people on. I think it was a fairly good talk. I wasn't ready. I should have started with just one person instead of doing four on the thing. And then just after reading or watching nobody's video, it pisses me off when I think people are being manipulated. Maybe one day we can go over that. I'll go over that with you, but
something is true.
Whoa.
In my recent doomsdisturbing videos.
There we go. But anyways, you have a good night. I know it's probably like the sun's probably about to come up over there where you are. And we're going to watch some. Speak to you later, bud.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. I do enjoy my gotcha slop. And I don't think there's anything... There's a lot of problems with gotcha. Right? I'm not going to say that I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There's a lot that's wrong with gotcha. But I can't, if it's a medium you like, it's a medium you like. It's very popular for a reason. I've tried a couple of them, but it like MMOs, I just can't get into it. And I was very much like, I have a very, very much have a disdain towards microtransactions as a whole. Like it isn't till recent years that there's been certain kind of I just completely forgot what word I was saying. Don't get old. Don't have dyslexia. Don't do anything that I'm doing, except for maybe, going at the anti-woke and the woke. The microtransactions, like it's only very recently that I have actually given into like some microtransactions, like skins. It's okay, Grandpa, take your time. Fuck you, Kimoji. Fuck you. Anyways, I actually think we may end it early tonight. I'll be taking off tomorrow with Krax. It's not doing too bad. We're kind of making it up. No power right now, but we'll get that fixed, I'm sure. But thanks for coming out. If you like the stream, if you watch the stream and you like it, like the stream. Oh, actually, hold on. I want to check something. I want to look at something because I think I just saw it. Come on, you, before I go. Talking with Jar Sweeper. What? Hold on.
I didn't say this. Very
no,
interesting.
I'm saying there's a tribal.
Hold on. I want to listen to this a little bit.
And not understanding that.
So you think that interesting. So you think that there's a tribal thing because of him being like not woke, anti-woke, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What's your proof for that?
But he considers himself anti-woke and she considers herself woke.
So that's proof enough for you? Not
that she has a bias against his worldview and his.
So I may have to watch this on stream and watch Vincent's video. If you don't know, Vincent made a video on. Hold on, let me pull it up so y'all can actually see it. Vincent did a video on the Just a Robot thing, kind of doing the defense for Just a Robot. I think he got quite a few things wrong in the situation, but it's kind of blown up amongst the commentary community who went against this, because he kind of called people like Beckett it was kind of like a conspiracy. Well, we'll go over the video. Maybe I'll pull the video up Friday and go over that. Maybe I can get Vincent on. I've asked him, but he said it's really complicated, but it may just be a lot for him to go through it with me and with others.
Certain set of values. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll stream snipe a little bit.
Way. Anti-woke considers the woke the wrong way. Okay, they should be destroyed.
So why
It's
does okay?
tribal mindset.
Okay. But why does that matter regarding the retrospective video and highlighting the fact that there is evidence of Jar harassing women and doing other things in the space?
He thought he was friends with the women. Okay, it was a.
Yeah, okay, but I'll give it with, like, I get what he's going with. He thought he was friends with the women, but it's still sex pest material to send a picture of, or to send a message saying, want to see my cock, and then waiting a couple minutes and sending a picture of a rooster, right? I think that's kind of where he may have missed place on it. Still love Vincent very much.
Not true. He thought that he used to be friends, or he could be friends. And he went to VidCon and thinking maybe I can connect with at least one of these people. Was there other people he DM'd during that time? Do you know? You have more insider knowledge, I'm betting.
I'm speaking specifically about the women, please. I know that I believe he says that he attempted to, but that's not the point. And if I have more insider knowledge than you, the person who made the video, who is critiquing the Jar Freak retrospective, and those DMs are in the video, shouldn't you also know that? Again, so let's read it. I can read it if you want me to share my screen. I don't even know how to do it on this thing, so it doesn't really matter. Just a Robot says, want to meet up at 12 at the water fountain. Mally Malware. I'm not at VidCon anymore. Go home and rest, so nah. Enjoy your day. Just a Robot. I meant tomorrow. I also left. Just a Robot. I think it closes at 9 or 10 p.m.
Yeah,
Nah, I'm good. I got a lot to do.
Now. Thank you for coming by.
Oh no, Vincent.
You're ending? Are you running? Vince, are you running?
Nope. I'm ending the stream.
My stream is still going. I've been streaming. Why don't we keep talking?
Because I don't have to, jackass.
Come on, Vincent.
Yo! He fucking ran! Yo! He fucking ran! Oh no, chat. Vincent ran! Oh no! Oh, buddy! Oh no! He ran! Oh no! Listen, I don't do that very often. I don't like the gay debate tactic shit. But holy moly, and yes, as a gay man, I will say that. Holy shit! You know what?
What are they talking about now? Oh no.
The last night, I know the okay, hold up. God damn it.
Got 'em, boy. Here's your money.
I know Mally. Oh, hey Mally, what's up?
Hello, I'm so upset. I only just got here. I was actually quite excited. I kind of wanted to talk to this dude.
That was I apologize for ruining that for you. How do you feel? How was that?
Okay, it just looks like them going over it.
For you?
I'll probably watch that later and see the full conversation. Oh, Oh, Vincent. Like I gotta say, I think he hit quite a few matches in it. Like we might watch it Friday. Where I think he has this idea of like a big conspiracy against Jar because of the greater commentary community as a whole, and it's a what do you call it? It's something that has happened in the commentary community. It's something that's blamed. I have zero clue on what they're even talking about on this one. Vincent could easily have said, yes, I made that video, but I'm the one man band and I can absolutely miss stuff and I'm willing to show. Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting onto. Like it's, I think he made some misses in the video, maybe some, more evidence being brought to bear. The running is not a good look for him. You know, if you're wrong, you're wrong when it comes into it. And like I said, I think it was kind of it was very conspiratorial. The commentary community always gets a lot of thing you hear about. If you even watch the commentary community, it's the cabal, the commentary cabal decides all the drama that's going to be put up. But maybe I can talk to Vincent about it. We can get a little information. But I think I might go over the video on Friday, maybe watch some of this other stuff. See how my views differ from everyone else. Well, anyway, I think we're going to call it there. You guys have a wonderful night. I will see y'all on Friday. As always, thanks for coming by. Like and subscribe. Oh, that was what I was going to look at. Hold on. Before I go, I want to say something cool. Yeah, let's fucking go. Hold on. Is it showing? Cool. So... Where is it? No, not studio, this one. And by popular demand, I have made it to 75 subscribers. That's pretty cool. On my way to 100. So thank you, anybody that's subscribed and is watching this later. I appreciate it. I didn't even think I'd have 75 watching me. So that's cool. Let's go. That's right. On our way to 100. And then from there, it's to the money, to 500, baby. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming by. And I will see y'all on Friday.